Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM22 One Club story from Hemel Hempstead Town with me, Daniel. It's part 144 today and the voice is on the brink, so you have to accept my apologies if I start squeaking at any point today. But we are back for our Season 16 review, and if we turn our attention back to the pitch with Hemel Hempstead, it was an incredibly frustrating end to the season. It is the first time officially we've gone backwards in the Premier League, both in points total and in terms of position as well. And as well as inconsistent form, we had that awful end to the season in the FA Cup final, which is the first time we've been hammered in a big cup game at Wembley. So if you're looking forward to seeing what we've got planned for the summer, the focus today after the season review and seeing what our stadium upgrade is going to be is having a look at the squad in detail. And I don't just mean choosing which positions players are going to go. We're going to have a look at all the players and see who's fit to swim and who's going to sink and move on to another club. So if you're looking forward to that one, please do chuck a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe down below for daily FM22 content. You can find all the key links in the eye above or description below. That includes our top 3 playlists, our returning experiments for FM22, the Twitch channel, which is almost back up in full flow again, and much, much more. But a massive thank you for watching as always. You can support the show as a channel member by clicking the join button down below. Now let's get straight into the end of season news. And we'll start tomorrow morning with the end of year review. And here we are, a season in which we're disappointed to just win the Carabao Cup. I guess a few years ago we would have taken that, won't we? I guess the key thing after last season is getting a trophy again, but it should have been 2. And that's what's very annoying about it. Let's have a look at the new arrivals though, because it's often at this point I get a little bit reminiscent of actually we have improved. We've brought in the likes this season of Stamatis, of Andreka, of Azoma in January, and Joe and Vaz joined the club as well. In terms of the players out, if you want to compare the level of quality, it perhaps isn't so bad then. Jason Dolner gone, Shane Leacock gone, 31-year-old Arthur Ndu, who still managed to get one over us in the FA Cup final, and in the big one, Mailton in January, £163 million. We can't afford to keep losing players like that, even if the money is too good to refuse. We have got a lot of great players out on loan though. I'm hoping Vitz Rubeck with his work permit will come back and be our best striker next year. We've then got to choose which of Louise, Rojas and Wilson are going to be able to contribute to the first team. And even Ostrakovic and Dean Arthur have done well out of the club as well. Let's get on to the end of season results, where in the League Cup we did manage to wrap up a trophy, didn't concede a goal the whole way through. In the FA Cup, we had that bitter disappointment in the final, giving a 3-goal lead to Southampton. Absolutely infuriating. Champions League, we made history, but went down with a bit of a whimper to Real Madrid in the quarters. And in the Premier League, 3rd place. But look, we're not even competing, are we? The top 2, Liverpool and United, they're going to take some beating. Now remember, that from the start of this save, our objective is to win one of these 2 trophies. I've never done it before starting with a semi-pro club. And just as we've started to get close, I now wonder if last year was our best opportunity. But hopefully Mario Ricca's loss won't be the thing that ultimately we remember this series by. We got a 10-0 win, our biggest ever one in the FA Cup. 6-0 win, a match to remember in the Premier League. Carlos Torres going goals galore. And goal of the season from Arlan against Norwich away from home. Another one of those who might not be with us next year. Let's move on though to the reputation, which is 4.5 star. The finances will be better in pretty much every area by the time we get the unallocated money. And merchandise. Look at this, John Moore's now gone up to top spot. Moreira's 2nd, he's one that will probably go this summer. But that is an incredible effort. No attackers up there, all midfielders. Probably shows losing Mario Ricca how little we've done to replace our star strikers, because they're not the best players at the club anymore. The accolades are best 11. German Moreira's not even in there, which tells me what I need to know. Left back's the weakest area. That tells the other story of the season. And up front, Torres was good, I'll be fair to him, but alongside, just need that little bit of quality. I might even switch the roles next year. Give Ricketts the advanced forward position and hope that he's able to do something special, because he is on paper the best striker at the club. Let's move on to the awards. We've got Manager of the Month for March and December. Player of the Year was John Moore. That's a bit of a worry in terms of our performances, isn't it? He's got the most league appearances by a player now, broken the record, 250. Scott Egan has been surpassed. 2nd time in a year we've broken that. Most clean sheets in a season, well done to him. Top goal scorer was Torres, top assist Coronel, and Carlos Torres in that match to remember broke a record by scoring 4 in one game. Let's get through to history in the making as we win the League Cup. German Moreira, a goal scorer against Man City in the game we should remember. But let's be honest, it wasn't our strongest season. Why they're talking about survival on the right when we're expected to get in the Europa League anyway, I don't know. But let's go through for what we need to do for the end of this season. We have got club visions and expectation. Again, expected to reach the Europa League via Premier League position. Quarter-final of the Champions League. So we've got to match our history from this year to be considered a success. And then they want us to be best of the rest in the Premier League next season. Challenge for the title in year 19. And challenge strongly in year 20. So they've got the same sort of plan as us, 20 years, and they want us winning the Premier League. End of season team meeting we'll do in a minute. Training camp destination. We've only got the exotic choices now. Going to go to Singapore because it's the slightly quieter one on paper. But what we're going to do, instead of going straight to the squad now, I'm going to skip ahead to later in the day where hopefully we are going to get our news about this. If we go to the club vision, stadium expansion news. If it's going to be completed by August, the plan has got to come now. So let's see what we get. We'll go through to the end of the day. If there's no news tomorrow, then we'll look at the squad. Well. This is a lot bigger than we expected, but it does have some bad news. We were expecting an upgrade of 3,000 to 4,000 seats. They've decided to enlarge it by 12,687, taking us to a capacity of over 38,000. That will actually allow us to compete at the top level. The problem is, it's not expected to be built until the start of the following season. So we're now going to spend another year away from Hemel Hempstead, this time going even further to Milton Keynes. That's got to be a good 30-40 miles away. A cost of £30 million, so Mailton, thank you for funding that. The facilities are downgraded, so we'll get those sorted again as well. But that is big news. It might not help us next season with our goal of being prepared for this one, but the following year could be very spectacular. What excuse can I find next summer? Let's go and have a look at the squad though, because that is the start of today's season review. So I guess one of the good side note things about doing this as we move on to the squad is that we don't often get to see everyone's player profile, so you get to see just how good our squad is now, how much is developed and where the weaknesses lie. It's a very young squad, only the 2 goalkeepers in their 30s. I've included all the star loan players apart from David Wilson, who we'll have a look at separately. But we've got a really strong team now and we've just got to prioritise, right, where do we actually want to go and develop here? So let's start with the goalkeepers. John Moore is 31. We will pay attention to the contract news as well because we've got to think ahead with that. John Moore has 2 years left on his contract. He just won player of the season. He's a fabulous goalkeeper. I would like to upgrade over the next season or two, but it can maybe wait 1 more year. We've got to bring in a backup keeper anyway, so do I maybe look for someone younger who can develop and become better than John Moore? That might be the plan for the longer term anyway, but a really solid keeper, and despite my frustration in the last episode, he's probably not the reason that we're not winning anything. He's got 21 caps for England now. He's been basically first choice 2 or 3 years. I don't think we can say much more, can we? We've then got Josh Hayes, who is one of the Ireland goalkeepers, but he's really starting to go backwards now. In his 30s, not really playing football, got 1 year on his contract and wants to double his wage, and I don't think we can justify that. I'd imagine for the same price, I can bring in a young goalkeeper of almost the same level who's probably got bigger potential. And Josh Hayes' career could have been so different. He could have been John Moore. We only signed Moore because Hayes rejected us for, I think, Wolves at the time, and then ended up coming here because he couldn't get his move. So Josh Hayes has certainly done his job for us, but he's not going to be the man to take us forward. And he is the first of those I'm going to be happy to sell this summer. Into centre-half, we've got 3 really strong ones. Zaruk, who, let's be honest, a few people were a bit sceptical about when I bought for 72 million. He's become a top-class central defender. He's worth massive money. He's playing really well. He's solved that problem on the left side of the 2 centre-halves as well, where we've not been able to get someone to perform since Capecqua, and he's actually done really well. So I'm happy with him, and alongside him, Ignacio Jura's a star as well. Probably not quite as good, but he's got the physical attributes, so they sort of work together well. Better on the ball, maybe not quite as good mentally, not as composed, but the positioning's great, the tackling's great, and physically he's an absolute monster. The third centre-half is the skipper, Jack Hanifan. He has now signed a new deal at the club, and he's a really solid pro. He's not standout, but he's a perfect backup centre-half. He's pretty decent in all areas. He's an England international, and most importantly, he is an exceptional leader in the dressing room. Great personality, great leader, and we've seen from some of the individual chats just how important he is to my management. The fourth one, though, is where it maybe goes wrong, because Kay Striker is not as great. He is a fourth choice centre-half, so we should remember it's not a priority. He's probably not the man that's going to win us titles, though, if he has to play a sustained run of games. The other side of that, though, is that when he comes on into a back five and plays in the middle of a three, we need great anticipation as a sweeping defender, and he's got that in abundance. So I'm a little bit torn on him. I'm wondering, because he's got 2 years left on his contract, or 3, sorry, do we loan out Dean Arthur for 1 more year, who I'll show you quickly now from Cardiff? I feel if I loan him out for 1 more season, he will then be as good, if not better, than Kay Striker. So perhaps that's going to be the route. 1 more year of that, and then Dean Arthur comes back into the team. Let me know if you agree down in the comments. So not a priority position in my book, but one that is left back. We've got Rodrigo Delgado, who has not really pushed on to that level. He's a very good left back, but he's not world class. And with his versatility, it would be quite nice to actually have him as a backup. I look at him and think he's a very solid pro, but I don't want him to be my regular. Not quite good enough going forward either, which doesn't give us that final product, and not a superstar defensively to make it worthwhile. So left back is an area I want to improve, and he's also helped by the fact that Peebles probably one of the weakest backups at the club. So he will move on, Rodrigo Delgado back up, and hopefully a new first teamer in, or at least someone who's going to be of a similar level to Delgado, but with further potential for the future. That's what we have to hope for now. That's the left back sorted, definitely an area we need to replace. Right back though, I'm pretty happy with. Dominic Chauvin is a superstar. He's a very solid player across the board, just that little bit better both defensively and going forward than Delgado. And he's a monster in the air at 6'3" as well. Pops up with a few goals and assists from back post corners. And of course he can cross the ball as well, which helps us out massively. And the backup, Danilo Jose, probably a similar level to Delgado. I was having a look at one right back from City, but it's going to be hard to get it done for a good wage. So Jose probably got 1 more year, but he's going to be one of the first candidates for next summer. Let's move on to midfield, where we've got big decisions to make. The area we haven't got to decide anything is holding midfield. Ledian Andreka and Rodrigo De Vita, the best 2 trainers every week. I mean, Andreka's still 19. I've got a feeling he might become one of the best players in the world, because he looks absolutely sublime. He's improved his passing range, his vision's up to 15, his tackling superb, physically he's magnificent, mentally he's a monster, he's left-footed, he's a wonder kid, he's even decent in goal, got a 3 rating rather than the 2, again another one who's great in the air, and he can cover at centre-half, where I'm considering maybe dropping him later in his career, but what a footballer, absolutely love him. And he's got to compete with this guy, Rodrigo De Vita, very different type of player. Bit weaker in the tackle, but even better mentally, even better physically. He's become an absolute star. Don't forget that we got him in for £1.1 million. We made 100 grand back on his loan to Salzburg. Can you imagine how much we're going to sell him for? The recruitment from South America in this save has been absolutely stunning. And we are going to make magnificent money when we do move some of these on. But I don't want either of those to be going anywhere this summer. Further forward in the midfield though, we do have big decisions to make, because this guy, German Moreira, had his poorest year in a long time. He's out of contract at the end of next season. He's worth 100 million still, and he's wanted by clubs. I know he's magnificent. He wants a deal around 300 grand a week, over double what our top paid player is earning at the moment. We tried to offer him a few times, it just didn't work out. And I think we're going to have to say goodbye. He's 26 years of age. We've got a replacement that's basically as good sitting behind him. So it's not even like we're going to have to recruit to replace him. I think it's where we have to accept money at this point, because I don't want to lose him for free. And I don't want to double the expectations for everyone else's wage in the next few weeks. We've got to manage this sensibly. He's had great seasons. Last year, it was magnificent. But look at this year by comparison. 13 assists down to 4. The same number of goals. An average rating of 0.2 less. He's really grown into this role, and we signed him for £400,000, so we're going to make a ridiculous sum of money, but he's had his worst year. He didn't do it in the Champions League where it mattered, And after over 200 appearances, I think it's going to be a farewell to German Moreira. His replacement, though, thankfully, is already here. Miguel Coronel, maybe physically slightly less able, but mentally and technically, he's just as good, if not slightly better on the technical side. He's 26 as well. He's got 4 years on his contract. His wage is 140 grand. He doesn't want any more than that. And to be fair to him, he played largely off the bench and managed to get a similar rating. When he started games regularly in the FA Cup and in the Carabao Cup, he produced magnificent performances. I feel like he's someone who deserves his chance now. Miguel Coronel, I think, will step up. Another signing for less than 10 million. But I think he will be our starter next year. And German Moreira, however long it takes, maybe a panic deadline day buy like the others, will be able to leave the club for us. He has been replaced this January by Alberto Vaz, who's a superstar. I think we sort of undervalued how good he was, because in January the star of the show was the Mailton sale, and then obviously he was replaced by Collins and Joe. And this guy sort of slipped under the radar. He's played brilliantly when he's played. He's not started a lot of games, and I feel like he deserves more. He's got potential. He's an Argentinian international, still only 25. I think he's going to feature a bit more next season, but it makes me less worried about losing Moreira, because Coronel and him, I really don't think there's a huge drop-off in quality. The other side, exactly the same. Stamatis is superb. Last summer signing at 21 years of age now. 30 Greece international caps. Brilliant Premier League performer this year. Physically great. Has developed from right wing to become a natural centre midfielder now. And he's still got bags of potential. Mentally, if we can get those 13s up to 14s and 15s, we've got great technical stats in the key areas. I'll try and work on the finishing a bit this year. He's just great. He's a really solid box-to-box centre midfielder, and he does everything quite well. Hits a shot from distance, so can score the odd goal for us. I think in the future, we're going to get an awful lot out of him. So, Stamatis definitely stay in for the long haul. Alongside him, we've got other decisions. Arlan, probably going to be off, I'm afraid. He is a good player, but he's not developing. He's reached peak age. He's unhappy because he's not playing a lot of football, and I can't put him above any of the ones we've just seen. He is good defensively, but not as strong or as physically imposing as De Vita or Ndreka, who have overtaken him. So I think he's going to be one that moves on. He's got 3 years on his contract, but that's no use if he doesn't want to sign a new one and he doesn't want to be here. So if we've got backup players that don't really want to be here, we've got to move them on. The reason we can let him go, though, is because in central midfield, we've got great players coming back. Luiz has been out on loan for the year after stuttering and stalling a little bit in our backups last season. He's had a great year. Look how much he's improved. Technically, he's still got a little way to go, but he's got 2 stars of potential to fulfill. Mentally, he's taken that big step forward, though. He's become what Arlan was in centre midfield. A proper powerhouse, a ball buster, a great personality. He's very solid physically. Looks average for now. But if he goes up 1 attribute point, you've got 16 for all of those top 3 there. He really is a star. He's going to be great. And I feel like he has to come back and play a lot of football next year. Maybe as first backup to someone like Stamatis. I'm not sure he's good enough to play on the technical side, but to be the backup number 10 ahead of Carlos Martin, to be the right-sided diamond player just behind Stamatis, he's got it all. Luiz will be a key part next year. Then we've got to decide what to do with Emiliano Rojas. Will he get 1 more year out? Will he develop to that top level? I mean, regardless, he's a brilliant signing because we got him for £19,000. And, I mean, it speaks for itself. How did we get him for 20 grand? He's going to be worth 20-30 million, whether he stays here or he goes out on loan. If he's happy to stay and be a backup, then great. If not, we'll probably let him move on. On loan initially for a year and then permanently after that. It might depend on what happens to Carlos Martin, our backup number 10. In an ideal world, I'd love a replacement, but I'm not sure it's going to happen. Maybe Luiz will just have to be makeshift. He's got 1 year left on his deal, so if we can get a sale, we'll take it. But Carlos Martin, I'm neither here nor there. I don't mind if he goes. He's not a long-term part of my plans. Don't forget, last summer we tried to sell him. We got transfer offers, but the level of clubs that were willing to come in for him, he kept rejecting. So I'm not sure if that will happen yet again. We'll wait and see. The other number 10 is Collins and Joe. He joined in January. I'm tempted to change his role. I know it's been a talking point down in the comments. He did really well as the shadow striker overall, but in the big games, didn't always turn up. Was great in a League Cup final, got a couple of hat-tricks, got a couple of great performances in him. But I feel like in another role he might be served better. And I feel like we need to protect our midfield a bit more because we were getting overrun in recent games. So I'm going to see some slight tactical tweaks this year, and Joe will be part of it. But he can be a star in that number 10 role. And we're not going to get a replacement for less than 100 million. So, and Joe only came in January, did okay, showed glimpses. We're going to give him a chance to succeed. Let's give him time. It's the FA Cup semi-final he scored a hat-trick in as well, wasn't it? No goals in the Carabao Cup. Up front is the final position, and I think it speaks for itself. Our best striker, who we had to loan out this year because we couldn't get a work permit, has finally got one. Vits Rubeck will be back. He is the best finisher at the club. He is the natural poacher, goal-scoring threat that I really want to have. He's been scoring one a game for Atletico Madrid when he starts. He's class. He's lost a little bit from the 6-7 months he didn't play any football, but a year of regular starting in the Premier League, he's going to be magnificent. He's an elite striker. He's my Mario Ricca replacement. He's not got the personality to be the leader at the club, but the goals I'd certainly hope will be forthcoming. So Vits Rubeck, looking forward to having you back, son. He will be joined up front by Tyrese Ricketts, who I'm going to switch on the left to the advanced forward role this year. He suits it better. He's got the natural pace to get in behind. He's got the composure. He's got the finishing. He's all right in the air as well. So the plan is Ricketts advanced forward, Rubeck poacher. Fingers crossed, more goals than we had this year. Alongside them, Carlos Torres, very good player. Top goal scorer this year. Not going to develop anymore. I think we know that by now. But can play in either role very well. So if we could get to the stage where he's first backup, or even just taking over from Ricketts or Rubeck if one performs poorly. Look, between the three of them, we've got magnificent strikers. We just haven't got a Mario Ricca. That's the sad thing. And unless we can get him back, we're not finding a similar level replacement. Stanley Azoma, bit of a disappointment this year. Played well, but more a provider than a goal scorer, which I found a bit weird. Got 9 goals, 12 assists. Only started 24 games in fairness, but without AFCON next year, with a summer to rest and relax, I'm hoping he'll be a star next season. He scores a lot of goals for Nigeria, has done at every other level, and the attributes suggest he should. I'm not sure how much he's going to feature behind the others. It will probably depend on how Ricketts and Rubeck start the season, but he's a really good option to have. We've got 4 good strikers. We just need one of them to have a great year every year. We've got Ostrakovic coming back from loan, who I'll probably send out one more year. Has improved out there, to be honest. And everyone that's gone to Shakhtar or Benfica or Zenit, they've done a lot better. And they have come back better players. I've gained more from loaning people out this year than I have in many of the previous editions. But he'll go out for another season. And in Danny Harrison, I know a lot of you have said he's not good enough for a while now. He will probably be sold too. Look, he's the worst of our backup strikers. He's 2.5 star up front, 3 star off the wing. He played 8 games from the start this year. That's not enough to keep anyone happy. 28 years of age as well. So he's going to be off, Arlan's off, and due to contracts, unless something changes magnificently, German Moreira will be off as well. They are the ones that are going to be permanently sold. Add to that the loans out for probably Rojas and definitely Ostrakovic. That is where we're left for next season. Need a left back. Need a goalkeeper. Maybe we can promote Arthur and Wilson a year later down the line. But for now, I think that's the squad that gives us the best chance. And I am pleased to see that a lot of them have still got room for development too. Let me very quickly show you David Wilson before we go. I've got to show you this guy as well, Afis Agbar. Out on loan at 18. Keep your eyes on him in a couple of years' time. Starting to develop really quickly in the EFL. The other one, David Wilson, still got 4-star potential. He's a really promising attacking midfielder. So I'm hoping with one more big loan, he might be ready for Premier League football. That, though, is our review of the season. You've seen everyone in detail. Who's surprised you most? Who's better than you thought they'd be? Whose profile haven't you seen for a while and you thought, oh, they're not quite as good as I'd expected? And do you agree with who I'm planning to replace, or do you think it should be more or less? If you did enjoy this episode, please do chuck a thumbs up on the video. Let me know in the comments the answers to all of the questions and what you think of the squad, of course. Subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on for daily FM22 content. There's links to all the key playlists in the eye above and description below. And above my head now is the top 3 playlists. Please do give it a try if you haven't already. And I'll see you here again next time. Transfer special coming next Monday. I'll see you there for it. At least a big left back coming into the club.